This is the 3 a.m. conversation that you really want to be a fly on the wall for. This is the Sleepless Knights podcast, hosted by Mr. Lobo of Cinema Insomnia and my producer Paul Sanders of BESTOW TV. Those who listen know it's unlike all those other podcasts. This one is for us night people. We obsess on pop culture, we talk movies, talk shop, get weird, do interviews, answer your questions. We take you to the airport and to the laundromat. Okay, well, sometimes we get lost, but we promise you that we will go where no podcast has gone before. Dare you put down as little as $1 American and support our next show? We're getting it ready for you now. All you can hear for $1 or more an episode. Please join us on Patreon. Patreon.com/Sleepless Knights Podcast. All one word. SLEEPLESSKNIGHTSPODDcast. Only one D in podcast, even though we emphasize the odd in our pODDcast. We want normal people with real jobs to find us. Sleepless Knights Podcast on Patreon.
Once again, we'd like to thank all of our Patreon supporters. Our executive producer for tonight's episode is Anita Rivnik. Thanks again, Anita. All systems go.
Attention, Sleepless Knights. Thank you for consuming this OSI 74 product broadcast, live from the Black Knight satellite. For optimum performance and safety, your host, Mr. Lobo, asks that you please listen to these instructions carefully. When in a hospital or other healthcare facility, observe the restrictions on the use of electronic devices. Switch off before boarding an aircraft to prevent interference with communications systems. Do not operate this device in the presence of flammable gases or fumes, chemical plants, or where blasting operations are in progress. Always listen hands-free while driving a vehicle. Failure to observe these instructions may lead to immediate termination. It's time now for the show to begin. Thank you. Have a very pleasant evening.
You're not dreaming. You are shivering. It is a cold one here at the OSI headquarters. This is your horrible host, Mr. Lobo, and you're listening to the Sleepless Knights podcast. We are connected via satellite to Paul, our producer from BESTOW, who is out in deep space. Paul, do you read me? Do you copy?
Yeah. It's a blistering 75 degrees up here in the pod. I'm freezing my ass off in here.
Oh well, we're definitely feeling a little chiselly down here, if that's a word. Is that chiselly? Is that a word? Is that one of those words?
Do I have to censor that word?
I don't know.
Do I have to bleep that?
What does Winnie the Pooh always say? It's a blustery day. Yes, it's a blustery day. We've got our fake fire going, and we're kind of settling in for a nice holiday season.
Do you have your Yule log in your DVD player? Do you have your Yule log in your DVD player? Not the Yule log DVD, just the actual Yule log right in the DVD player.
Yeah, it's the whole Yule log. Yes, could you say that a few more times? Do I have my Yule log in my is that a secret code for something? Is your Yule log in your DVD player?
Just knock once for yes and twice for no. Come in.
It's interesting. Like I said, I feel like our little fake fireplace kind of does a pretty good job without having to put the VHS or the DVD of the Yule log or just a whole log into our DVD/VHS combo player. I always have a little bit of resentment toward the Yule log because when I worked for ABC TV in Sacramento, when we were hosting Cinema Insomnia, we got our ass kicked by the Yule log in the ratings.
Like literally? Like the Yule log came over into the studio and just started pounding on you guys?
Yeah, that's right. Kicked the door in, grabbed me by the shirt collars. Yeah.
Oh, ho, ho, mother ass!
But yeah, the Yule log gets great ratings, man. And now I'm getting my ass kicked by the Yule log. Are we bleeping the ass, by the way?
I don't know. I think I have to bleep motherfucker if it's going on YouTube. Because you can't drop the F-bomb you can't swear or drop the F-bomb within like the first minute. And we're not within the first minute.
Alpha DVD. Now I'm getting the Yule log is ruining us in our rankings on the Alpha DVD. If you go to oldies.com and look at their best-selling video DVDs.
Can you repeat that?
Sometimes we're in there in that top 5, top 10.
Could you repeat that?
But the Yule log.
Can you hear me?
Which one? Which part?
Just go back to Alpha beating you on the DVD sales. You dropped out.
So now we have the Yule log ruining us in our DVD rankings at Alpha Video. If you go to oldies.com, they list their top selling DVDs. And in the Alpha Video section, they have a Yule log, and I think it's like 98 cents. It's like incredibly cheap. I think they just sent it to you in a paper envelope. It's their cheapest DVD that they sell, I believe. So right now it's like ranking really high, where it's like number 2 or something, and it's just it's like we've got Santa Claus, Martians, and 17 titles on DVD, and it's really funny that I'm still the Yule log is still more popular than my show. Oh boy. Anyway,
so you know what that says? That says you should release a Cinema Insomnia Yule log for yourself. Mr. Lobo presents Cinema Insomnia's Yule Log's Wild Ride. I don't know. You gotta have to work on the title.
Yeah, we'll work on that a little bit. But yeah, I could just host the Yule log where we show the Yule log for 6 minutes or so, and then I come back and tell jokes about it. Yeah, that would be pretty good. I think that's a great idea.
Away with it.
I love it.
But now that we spoiled
my fans would put up with that nonsense.
YouTube fans, on the other hand,
you heard it here, folks.
There's not enough Mr. Lobo in this.
Thumbs down. Not enough commentary. Talking about getting ready for the holidays, and like I said, we're going to probably watch some videos. You been watching any videos? Any new movies?
Yeah. The Space Netflix up here. They got like 2 new programs, so now I'm actually able to watch like 4 whole movies now. Oh,
something besides Groundhog Day?
And something besides The Hitchhiker's Guardians of the Galaxy. They still haven't even gotten the sequel to that for some reason. Is it because Douglas Adams died before the sequel was made?
Yeah, that's what happened with The Hitchhiker's Guardians of the Galaxy. When he and Stan Lee died, it ruined it. Ruined it. Both franchises collided and exploded.
I mean, why don't they just clone them? I mean, don't they have life model decoys or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, if they can make a life model about any jacket, I don't know why they wouldn't make ones of, people who would actually want to have more than one copy of.
But can you repeat that? You dropped out in jackets.
If they could make life model decoys, any run-of-the-mill moronic jackets, I mean, think that they would make a life model decoy of people.
Did it again. I feel like we have lag going on here too. If we can make it out of this segment, I'll try to reboot. But go ahead, pick it up from any jack.
I mean, if they can make a life model decoy, any run-of-the-mill moronic jackass, I mean, you think that they would one of someone you'd want to have an extra copy of floating around.
Wait, what? I'm sorry. Watching one of those movies.
You weren't paying attention?
Could you repeat that again?
No, I'm not repeating it again. So you got some movies other than Hitchhiker's Guardians of the Galaxy, which doesn't exist, and Groundhog Day.
It doesn't exist? I just watched it the other day. What do you mean it doesn't exist?
What happens in Hitchhiker's Guardians of the Galaxy?
They pick up a raccoon that was hitchhiking along the space trail, and they have a dance off with the Zerg.
A dance off with the Zerg. Okay.
And then it ends on a cliff.
Was it a raccoon? Or was it a groundhog?
What's that?
Was it a raccoon or a groundhog?
It was a hybrid of both, and it ends on a cliffhanger because they're supposed to have, they were supposed to have a sequel with something at the end of the galaxy, but we know that we'll never see a sequel.
I guess not. We'll never know what happens to the rack hog. I couldn't say ground coon. That did right. Rack hog is much better.
Yeah.
Right, rack hog. I think
I gotta burn a set of shirts because I got the wrong labeling on it.
You've got some new movies, you say?
2 new movies. Yep. Yeah, Space Netflix is not. I mean, does Earth Netflix have more movies? Because they seem like they roll out like 2 a decade.
Netflix they always seem to have only 2 movies that I actually want to watch, and then the rest of it seems like unmitigated. Okay. So I don't know if you're missing much.
Well, you should check out the movies. You should check out the movie Naked.
Naked.
Yeah.
So this is an actual movie, Naked.
Yeah, and it was 2 hours wasted. It didn't sell on that part. I think I thought I was on Hub or something, but
you were hoping for something better, huh?
So basically, the main character, which I think is like Marlon Wayans, he gets stuck in an elevator naked. He has the next hour to like kind of redeem himself. So he has to get over the whole embarrassment of being discovered in this elevator, not wearing any clothes and everything. And, it's the day before his wedding day. So he has an hour to get to his wedding and stuff. Mm-hmm. And when that hour is up, he repeats it all over again. And he does it all over again.
Oh, are you kidding me?
No.
So he gets stuck. He repeats the same hour again in the elevator naked?
Yeah. I mean, it's a perfect concept. I wish they would use that more in movies. I've never seen that before in my life.
I mean, does it keep happening again and again?
Yeah, until he gets it right.
It's basically like Groundhog Day again.
Hey, now that you point that out, I guess it is, isn't it?
But it's Groundhog Hour.
Groundhog Hour. Yes.
Basically.
Yeah.
He's got it over and over.
All right. Well, maybe the second movie. Maybe the second movie is a better premise for you.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's a little bit tough for you. The other one was Palm Springs.
Palm Springs, and this is another new movie.
Yeah, this is another new movie on Netflix that was on there. So that was part of the rotation. Okay. So now I got 4 movies to go through, and 4 movies. Anyway,
4 whole movies.
So they were at a wedding reception in Palm Springs.
Oh, okay, it's different. Wedding reception.
Yeah, and then an earthquake happens somewhere roughly around the time, and the main character goes in this cave. And he ends up having to repeat the same day over and over and over again. And it ends up that the whole premise is that there's 3 people that are stuck in there. And then later on, a girl follows him in, and then they. He brought another friend into the cave with him, and things didn't turn out so well. But yeah, totally original concept,
So there's 3 people reliving the same day over and over again, and then one of them.
Original.
Wow.
Totally original.
I guess they put a little bit of a twist on it, but it's still living the same day over and over.
I guess if you want to just focus on that aspect.
How do you even know it's the same day if they're in a cave?
Well, they're not in a cave. It just ends that day, ends up going in the... I don't even think they have to go in the cave because... I mean, I don't want to spoil this movie any further than I already have.
I think it spoiled itself. Wow. So you've got, of the 4, there's the one that doesn't exist. And then the other 3 are the people who are reliving one part of their life over and over and over again.
I don't know what your hang up is. I mean, I don't see why you think Groundhog Day doesn't exist.
Groundhog Day does exist.
Oh.
Hitchhiker's Guardians to the Galaxy. That's the one where I'm not quite sure that actually exists. I think you're confused. I think those are 2 movies that have been combined somehow or confused.
Okay.
And in Hitchhiker's Guardians of the Galaxy, do they repeat their adventure over and over?
Yes, when I restart the movie. So, I mean, in essence, all movies are like that.
Yeah, you know what? If you really, really think about it, if you rewind the movie or start it over from the beginning, it's just the same movie over and over and over again. And you're reliving yourself in that day watching that movie, just like we're reliving doing this podcast over and over and over again. And on that note, maybe when we restart the podcast again, we'll have a better one for you after this.
Excuse me, so you're naked. It's supposed to be at my wedding right now. I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said. I'm just trying not to look at your gem. This is Benny.
Hey, where are you, man? People are pissed.
You have to accept the fact that he's not coming.
He will be here.
I'm gonna have to get arrested.
For what?
I'm not a streaker. I'm just trying to get to my wedding. Mom, I need your help. I'm freaking out. I'm butt naked. I'm 20 blocks from the hotel, and I keep repeating the same hour over and over again.
You naked? In public?
I'm wearing a shopping bag.
Well, can you find some other trash that you can make a shirt out of?
Are you drunk? Show me. Show you what? I'll dance with you? Oh, it's loud! And pose. You think his old lady gonna like that?
I think she gonna kick his ass. Where are you? Are you okay?
I'm coming for you. In what world would she pick you over me? This is what you're bringing to the table? Now that woman deserves a great wedding. Oh, I'm sorry. It just needs to be taken out in the back.
Oh, I'm going to take it out in the back.
I need to borrow your suit. I'm not giving you my suit. You're gonna give me the damn suit. Me. Yeah. Devin, just don't.
You're not dreaming. You're listening to the Sleepless Knights podcast. I'm your shivery, freezing, horrible host, Mr. Lobo. It's cold in here, but probably not as cold as it is in the vastness of space, which is where we are talking to my co-host and producer, Paul Sanders of BESTOW TV, who is out in his space pod. Paul, can you hear me out there?
Yeah, it's a blistering 75 degrees up here.
Do we need to stop for tonight? Maybe it's just not supposed to happen tonight.
Now that I'm rolling, maybe we should explain what happened.
Yeah, okay. We could. Are we rolling?
We're rolling.
I don't know what happened, Paul. It's like, okay, during the first segment, I was cutting out like every other line, and then I had to keep redoing my lines.
I kept asking, "Can you redo that? Can you redo that? Can
Yeah.
you?" And at one point, I had to yell because I didn't think you were hearing me. I thought it was.
Yeah, I don't know if I did hear you for some of it.
Because I'm like, you need to go back. You're like adding more to the thing. Go back. Go back. Go back.
So then we thought, okay, well, let's start over for their second segment. So I actually did the whole intro and everything from the second segment. Mm-hmm. And then when I throw it over to Paul,
on your end,
it's just on my end, it's just silent. And I thought, oh, okay, well, Paul's playing coy. He's doing different shtick here. So I'm like, come in, Paul, come in. Abacus, try and reach Paul. And I'm like doing all this business here on my end, talking to Miss Mittens Kong and everybody else, trying to get Paul back. And then I look at the screen and it says connection lost. And I realize that Paul is not being silent to be funny. I really have lost him.
And on my end, I delivered my line on cue, and then it's just dead silence because I could probably replay that off of the recorder here because it's just silence and silence and silence. And I'm like, hello, Mr. Lobo?
man.
And then all of a sudden, Skype just started like acting like it was dialing out. Like it does that noise when there's like a connection interruption. And then I'm like, I guess I lost you. Then we called back, and it lasted like 5 seconds.
See, I heard no sound whatsoever. Just a weird grayed out thing in the middle of the screen that said connection lost.
Mm-hmm. And then when we did connect, it only connected for 5 seconds. It connected long enough for both of us to say hello, and then it went,
well, and I mean, to be honest, I had to switch internet, so I'm on a different internet now.
Yeah, and that's the other thing was that because segment 1 was so choppy and so hard, we kept redoing lines over and over again. I rebooted my computer, I rebooted the router, I did so it took some time to get back connected to Lobo. So I rebooted everything on this end.
Yeah, I made a whole pot of coffee while he was trying to get his computer going again on that side.
For some reason, when we reboot the router on this end, it takes a really long time.
This has been a weird day because, like, both our phones, like Dixie's phone and my phone, we have no service. There was a storm last night, and it knocked down the towers for AT&T, and so now we have absolutely no phone service. And then now all this nonsense. I just feel like we're slowly gonna just lose contact with the entire world. Mm-hmm. Just live in a little cabin like Ted Kaczynski. Write our manifesto. Just stock up on guns and baked beans.
I refuse to believe that the internet is down today. Just my sheer willpower will make it work, right? Is that how that works?
Yeah, just because you want it bad enough, that means that you're entitled to it.
Right. All right, so do we wrap out on this and then actually go back to our actual segment too?
Do we go through a break from this, or do we just kind of just lick our wounds and limp forward from here? Because it might be funny to just have this in the middle of the show.
Or we could do that.
All right. Well, I guess I won't know until I hear it in the show or not in the show when you send me the edit for me to check.
Well, we have to make a decision because I have to time it. I have to have the timer. And we're already 6 minutes into this. So do we...
We're 6 minutes in, so how much longer?
So do we do 9 more minutes of shtick? To try to salvage this, or do we put the 6 minutes into segment 5?
Wow. See, people are really getting a lot of what goes into the show in this. I kind of feel like this is sort of interesting. I feel like this is, how I was saying that we always kind of like experiment and go off format. I feel like this is another opportunity. So maybe we should just keep going.
Keep it going?
Keep it going.
All right. Okay. So, all right. Okay. All right. It's a blistery, shit.
Blistery what?
Hold on.
Blistering barnacles.
Frassen. Well, Mr. Lobo, it's a blistering 75 degrees up here in the pod. I'm just picking up where we left off.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Because we kind of ruined the joke now.
Yes, blustery.
We pulled back that curtain too far. We're like, Run it back, put it back. I have the great and powerful Oz.
Oh gosh, yeah, and the curtain it's not even a nice curtain. It's like a Walmart shower curtain with like
mismatched rings.
Weird mildew stains. You kind of see through it already, even before it's pulled back. So it's really kind of the don't look, ignore the man behind the curtain is even more ridiculous because you can kind of see him through the curtain all along. That's basically the situation.
Right. Right.
So I am honestly cold. You're warm in the pod, is what you're saying.
And I'm behind the curtain exposing my Yule log, so we already screwed it up, so might as well.
I am tired of my life getting ruined by the Yule log. The Yule log, every year, the damn Yule log, I swear. Someone was saying that the Star Trek episode with the Doomsday Machine. Are you not really a Star Trek fan? Are you, Paul?
I like Star Trek for what it is, but I'm not like an over the top fan. I mean,
original series, there was a thing called the Doomsday Machine.
Mm-hmm.
It was just basically a long tube with a mouth open on one end that would eat planets. And someone was saying, basically, and someone was saying online that this looks like a log, and logs aren't scary. And then I was thinking about Star Trek 4 with the whales, and like, wasn't that thing a log also? That just
log?
like
I thought it was Vienna sausage. Look, it's a space Vienna sausage.
Delicious.
And its balls just dropped to communicate.
What? Oh no!
Yeah, you know that ball that drops, the little orb, and then it's. I can talk all day about Star Trek 4. That is my favorite Star Trek movie.
All right. As long as we're talking about the balls dropping in Star Trek 4 and not anywhere else, I guess we're okay. Dad, when you saw Star Trek 4, had your balls dropped yet?
I should have waited for that. Oh my.
Oh my. Oh my. Whoop factor 2. Don't call me Tiny.
I'm the genie.
I'm the genie. George Takei is Robin Williams in God. The Sam Kinison story.
Hey, Mr. Aladdin, sir. Do.
I don't know how we got to Sam Kinison. I don't know why it went there.
I did. This last 10 minutes hasn't made sense at all.
No, it's Groundhog Day all over again.
Hey, speaking of Groundhog Day, I saw 2 new films on Netflix.
Please don't tell me about them. We got to break the chain. Don't tell me about those damn ridiculous knockoff movies on Netflix.
Wait, how do you know what I'm talking about? You don't even know what they are.
Huh. How do I know what you're talking about? I usually don't know what you're talking about.
Well, if you knew what I was talking about, you'd know the names of the 2 movies.
I think it was like Palm Tree and Naked Guy. Am I close?
Close enough.
But it beats watching the Yule log, I guess. See what we're reduced to, the kind of humor we have to do, how the desperate levels of desperation that we've gotten to just to try to amuse you folks.
At least we're not in a car or the laundromat.
I mean, Aaron is probably dying to get to the airport. We probably could.
He's still waiting to be picked up since the episode we dropped him off, but not the most recent pickup because you didn't even go to the airport for the most recent time. You did a cross-country adventure.
We did. That would have been a podcast.
That Mr. Lobo and Aaron Lane and wait, what's his cat's name?
Stray.
Mr. Lobo, Aaron, and Stray in chaos across the country.
I mean, honestly, probably sick with now that I'm thinking about it.
What, Stray or Aaron?
No, Aaron. Maybe both. I don't know. He was sick as a dog. Really sick. I had to do most of the driving. Aaron's cat was in a litter box in the back seat. I mean, it wasn't in the litter box. Litter box was under the back seat. The cat really didn't use the litter box in the car. The cat was
sticking it out the window and prairie dogging it.
That's right. Hanging a BA out the back window. No, that's not what was happening. Cat pretty much slept while we were driving, and then around midnight would come up front and kindly ask us
right in your lap.
Yeah, exactly. Kindly ask us to go to a Motel 6, and then we would, and then the cat would it was crazy. The cat would love Motel 6, so we'd set up the litter box, and she'd pretty much be jumping from bed to bed and using the litter box all night
at the same time.
Yeah, in midair. It's amazing. Anyway, I feel like that could be a whole podcast unto itself. Just Aaron and I retelling the story of coming across country, perhaps. But I wish we had microphones rolling during that time. But Aaron was so sick that he almost passed out a couple of times. He was really sick. And then I was It was an extraction. We just had to get him out of California. I wish I could do that to every man, woman, and child who's still in California. Just come drive out. Just either drop in there on an airplane and drive them out of there, or just chopper lift everybody out of there. This has neither here nor there. This is sort of like our holiday season, talking about, getting ready for the holidays. And we're gonna try to stay on track and stay connected.
We're gonna try to salvage this show.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, wrap it up. Wrap up this show in a nice bow for you, and we'll be right back.
This is Mr. Lobo, your movie host for Alpha Video. Did you realize that Alpha Video is the leading manufacturer and marketer of budget-priced classic movies?
Yule log
on DVD. We have over 4,000. That's right, 4,000
Yule log
available on DVD, and we maintain aggressive release schedule. Very aggressive. I mean, we're a little mean about it sometimes. Maybe pushy. Maybe mean is too strong of a word. Maybe a little pushy. But there's so many mamby-pamby distributors out there that aren't aggressive enough in their DVD distribution. We're tilting the balance the other way because we want to make sure that you're getting
Yule log.
You're getting your 4,000
Yule log
on time every month. So thank you so much for supporting Alpha Video, and check us out at oldies.com.
You're not dreaming. You're shivering. It is freezing in here. Mr. Lobo is your horrible holiday host of the Sleepless Nights podcast. I am, of course, joined in the frozen wastes of outer space by Paul, our producer, who is joining us via satellite. Paul, can you hear me out there?
Yeah, Mr. Lobo. It's a blistering 75 degrees. Hello? Hello, are you there? Hello?
Paul, can you hear me?
Are you hello?
Paul.
Son of a...
Paul. Damn.
Oh, there you are. Can you repeat that?
Oh, you can hear me?
Can you repeat that? Can you repeat that?
Let me finish
repeat
talking.
That. Can you repeat first. That?
Can I finish saying it once?
Okay.
All right. Yeah, blistering. It went from blustery to blistering.
Something.
So 75 degrees. So
yes.
It's warm out there in outer space.
Yes. Can you repeat
in
that?
The pod. Can you hear me now? How about now?
Hold on. If I hold the microphone up this way and stand on one foot, can you hear me? How about now? Hello?
That's perfect. Just stand just like that.
Uh-huh. Yeah, my arm's not going to get tired doing this.
No.
Mm-hmm. Hey, did you know that Space Netflix got 2 new movies?
Really? That's great.
Hmm.
Oh boy. Yep. Those 2 new movies are getting older by the minute.
Not for me. I saw them for the first time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, if you've seen them once, you've seen them twice, or 3 or 4 or 5 times. We've already done all this in the Circles episode, as far as repeating ourselves.
I have a feeling we did it better.
Yeah, this is like a sloppier version of that same episode.
Should this be titled Sloppy Seconds? Sloppy Second Circle?
Yeah, oh no. Sloppy Circle Curse.
Do I have to believe that?
Yeah, probably. I was just talking about trying to reel it in a little bit, since I do have some younger fans now.
They're going to get an education.
Yeah, probably get grounded and lose privileges.
Daddy,
a lot of
what's
things.
Sloppy Seconds?
Where'd you hear that?
Sleepless Nights?
Oh, gosh.
Podcast?
Damn it, Mr. Lobo. Yeah, exactly. Right, with a Hot Wheels track. You got to learn it somewhere. Are you going to learn it on the street, or are you going to learn it from Mr. Lobo? That's the question.
Mm-hmm.
That's the question every parent needs to ask themselves. Do I want my kids learning this on the street, or do I want Mr. Lobo to lay it down?
Mm-hmm. And then the kids turn around and they go and they put it on the street and they get decked for it.
Yes.
Just like Mr. Lobo and that pantsless producer has.
Speaking of kids and the whole idea of things that kids say, things that kids talk about. Now, every Christmas when Jingle Bells comes out. Now, do you always think of the Batman taunt, Jingle Bells, Batman smells?
Yeah.
Now, I heard that in school. I'm assuming it probably hit its prime when the Batman TV show. Okay, I have a hard time imagining that would have happened in the 30s or 40s or 50s. I'm thinking that maybe in the 60s, the amount of irreverence that would have been in the culture and the fact that the Batman TV show, on TV and how hard that show hit popularity-wise, I'm thinking that probably in the schoolyards, they probably doing that Jingle Bells, Batman smells, Robin laid an egg. Now, it doesn't always go the same way. Your version is what? How do you remember that rhyme?
Jingle bells, Batman smells, Robin laid an egg, Batmobile lost its wheel, and the Joker got away. Hey!
Joker got away, yeah. Mm-hmm. And I think that there's some variations on it. I'm trying to remember what the other, because that's how I remember it too. But I remember saying it like that to somebody like, oh no, that's not how we did it. And then they had like a wholly different other line for the last part.
There are rules to the Batman song, and you are breaking those rules.
But I guess, what kids used to go to summer camp, or they used to we didn't have the internet, we didn't have memes. I feel like that the weird taunts and rhymes on the playground was kind of like the predecessor to a lot of memes and meme culture and things like that, where there are these things that people know, understand, share. A lot of those ones I wouldn't repeat.
I got one I want to repeat, and it's dirty as hell. Yeah.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of the Skeeter song?
What is it?
There's a Skeeter on my Peter, flick it off. There's a Skeeter on my Peter, flick it off. There's a dozen on my cousin. I can hear this buzzing. There's a Skeeter on my Peter, flick it off.
No.
New song for the music tier.
What?
I don't know why I went country western for it.
Oh, wow. I feel like anytime Skeeter is involved, you got to go country, right?
Yeah, I guess. Skeeter or Peter.
Wow. What about
Milk lemonade around the corner fudge is made?
That's a classic one. Yeah.
Yeah. Now I don't know if I want to do
Chinese, Japanese, dirty knees. Look at these.
Well, you just did.
It's not really racist if you don't see what I'm doing with my hand.
I guess. Okay. Yeah. But I'm sure we all, as soon as you started that, we all imagined it. So
yeah. And how does that even start? Like, what kid goes, okay, Chinese, Japanese, dirty knees, look at these? Like, how does a thing like that start? Now I want to know, did this thing start at the kid level, or did it start at the gross camp counselor level, or the gross, weird older brother level? I mean,
is that the gross deer camp level, like dad jokes? That's a little bit like a dad joke thing. Dad's camping about the deer, and they're dirty and telling dirty jokes.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel
me Chinese, me play joke, me put pee in her coat.
You can totally hear your dad doing that while waiting to hunt a deer, to shoot a deer in the head, right?
That adorable old guy racism. Yes. Oh, passive racism. Love it. Always great. Always a good icebreaker. I don't know. It is interesting because it's one of those things that, I wonder, with the advent of the internet and how connected we are we sustaining, not that we need to sustain Chinese, Japanese, dirty knees, look at these.
No.
We don't need to sustain that. That can just go away. But things like Jingle Bells, Batman smells, things like, I think a lot of the urban legends, like the ghost stories and things, have definitely flourished from the internet. But do we think about them the same way? Because they're so, it's hard to say that it's is it still a folk tale? Is it still, if it's not past, is it part of our oral history? I don't know if I'm saying this correctly, but you know what I'm saying is it still thought of the same way if you're just discovering it on the internet versus just hearing it on the playground or hearing it in a
I mean, the thing is
school choir or whatever.
Is this kind of a little bit more innocent hearing it this way versus what you could actually find on the internet or what's actually on the internet? Because I have a feeling that what's on the internet is 10 times worse than Milk Lemonade.
Yeah.
Are we really having a serious debate about this? Is that what segment 3 devolved to? It's like, let's have a Christmas episode. It's almost Christmas. Let's talk about Christmas. Milk Lemonade.
I guess I was more thinking about, and they don't have to be the gross ones either, but do kids even know nursery rhymes? Do they even know, okay, for example, taking it back to Star Trek.
Okay.
In Star Trek 5, this is supposed to be 200 years in the future.
Okay.
They sing Row, Row, Row Your Boat.
Right.
I mean, do your kids even know Row, Row, Row Your Boat? Like, if you started Row, would they even, know to join in or know how to do that or know what the song is?
They would probably join in.
You think so?
They probably would join in, and they probably would have worse lyrics to go with it, too, that I probably have never heard of. But
blow your goat.
Yeah, something like that. I'm sure that they would sing the raunchy stuff. Now that they're old enough to get away with that, they would probably do that just to get Dad to laugh.
Yeah. Would it work? Would it work?
Probably, because I'd probably devolve and try to sing something even much worse or just try to top them. Like, top this.
You have an interesting relationship. My kids, I think, would just they'd be too embarrassed probably. And either I would embarrass them or they would be too embarrassed to cut loose. So I kind of admire you've got a good relationship with your kids there.
I wasn't allowed to tell those jokes, or if I was telling those jokes or singing those songs, it was on the playground. I wasn't allowed to be doing that at home.
Yeah.
My mom wouldn't allow me to do that. My dad probably wouldn't care, and my grandmother wouldn't allow that.
Is that the source of that, where it's laughing in church? It's something that's a little naughty that your parents wouldn't appreciate. So there's a little extra, you relish in it a little bit because it is something. There's an aspect of it that's outsider, because I don't feel like anything is that taboo anymore, hardly. Or is it the other way around, where everything's taboo? I keep flip-flopping on that.
Well, I think it was just on the school grounds or in the church pews, it's just that you're getting away with something, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess if you're doing the church talk, well, you're getting away with it in God's house.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's almost a double dog dare doing it there. But on the school grounds, you're doing it out of the ear range of the teachers or the teachers' aides, and you're getting away with something. You're getting away with something really naughty.
And I wonder, as a person who writes humor, I always think that that kind of stuff is sort of is different. Like, nervous laughter is different than having a real joke that's about something that makes someone laugh because they're connecting with it. If it's just funny just because it's inappropriate, is that on the same level? I mean, I don't know.
I guess, wouldn't that be like what a TikTok and what was before TikTok? We were just talking about
Vines, right?
Isn't that kind of stuff kind of getting away with that kind of talk? But then again, it's like, we're almost a generation that grew up with like the George Carlins and everything else. So we heard all that stuff. So, I kind of assume that like a lot of us raising our kids, our parents were protective of our ears, and we weren't allowed to listen to that. And we were, but the rest of us, when raising our kids, were a little bit more free about that.
I suppose so. I think things change. I think taboos change, where it's like all about community standards. Whereas, in those days, if you said one of the 7 bad words, that could cost you your job or cost you your status. Whereas I feel like today, that's not really the case anymore. So that's not the thing that you're protecting your kids from.
I mean, when the Abes and the Apes are on Twitter pretty much dropping the F-bomb every day, I'm pretty sure that that's no longer sacred at that point when the world leaders are doing that amongst their jobs, and they're the ones that are supposed to be held to higher standards. So
sure, when Dr. Zayas is dropping F-bombs on his tweets, then that doesn't make any sense. Again, it's a different community standard. Whereas nowadays, I feel like more objectionable than the language is some of the stuff regarding creeds and cultures and genders. I feel like that those things are the things that, whereas I feel like there are a lot of things that was somewhat socially acceptable are not acceptable in any way today. And then that those would be the things that you might be harsher with your kids about than just a dirty word, because I feel like we're so much more connected today than we used to be with other people, that we're having a crisis that's really different. Whereas I think in our lives as kids, we were very sheltered and we only had a very small circle of people to deal with. So if we said something that was insensitive, it was only within that small group of people and nobody's feelings got hurt. So it was a way to kind of act out and be bad, and there's no consequence. Whereas nowadays, I feel like some of those things that you say in those naughty rhymes, it's a little bit different because you are attacking someone who can hear you. And there's certain things that you might say behind someone's back that you would think that it still isn't nice, but you really don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. Whereas you have to decide, am I okay directly hurting somebody's feelings? And I think that's one of the big weird issues of today and being so connected, but we're going to try and get this back on track with actually talking about the holidays. But I guess part of the holidays is being confused and not being able to talk to each other.
You went with confused. No, I thought it was being dirty, but okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Sure. Being filthy.
Having a dirty mouth, having to eat soap. I mean, it's all about Ralph eating that bar of soap, right?
That's right. Have you ever had, we'll come back and talk about if we actually ever really had our mouths washed out with soap when we come back after this filth.
It's going to be a beautiful wedding.
Good day so far? Today, tomorrow, it's all the same.
What is going on? Hey, get out of the water!
Guess you followed me. It's one of those infinite time loop situations you might have heard about.
That I might have heard about.
Yeah. The second you fall asleep, it all just goes back to the start.
I drove all the way back home to Austin, and I still woke up here.
One time I smoked a bunch of crystal and made it all the way to Equatorial Guinea. It was a huge waste of time.
Well, then what's the point of living?
We kind of have no choice but to live.
No, I'm gonna get out of this.
Suit yourself. See you tomorrow.
So now what do we do?
You just have to embrace the fact that nothing matters.
Do you sleep with people in here?
Great question. I have, but it takes a lot of work. Yeah, I got in. It's the first dance. And that's a deal breaker.
That didn't work?
Stop! There's a bomb in the cake. Don't worry. I used to be a bomb guy. Stand back!
All right.
Well, Mr. Lobo, it's a blistering 75 degrees up here in my pod.
Oh, can you hear me, Paul? Paul, are you there?
Yes.
Paul,
okay. Now, are we over this? Can we move on? Okay.
I can't hear you, Paul. Are you there?
I'm here. I
can't hear you.
Kind of here. I'm sort of.
I was going to actually make the same decision that we just don't repeat ourselves this time, but I kind of feel like we are repeating ourselves by not wanting to repeat ourselves and saying we're not going to repeat ourselves.
Speaking of which, did you know that Netflix got 2 new movies out?
Why don't you tell me about them after the show, Paul?
Okay.
All right.
I took notes.
Maybe that's segment 5, is you can talk about the 2 movies on Netflix that are basically Groundhog Day.
I mean, how could you make that connection?
Paul, I said we're not going to talk about it.
But I still don't understand how you make that connection.
I don't think my kids know any Christmas carols. We don't really uphold traditions real well. Like, I kind of feel like I've failed my kids culturally a little bit, whereas I feel like they don't really have a lot of those time-honored Christmassy traditions in their lives. Do you do this, Paul, where it's like you buy a Christmas present for someone, but then Amazon delivers it early, and you're like, do you want your Christmas present now? And they're like, yeah, sure. And then they just open it early? Or is it a stickler? It's got to be Christmas Eve?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Generally, like if we were ordering Christmas presents, it usually, if we wanted it to be a surprise, it gets shipped to somebody else's house. But parts of me was like, I'm just excited that it arrived, and I want to see their excitement, and I want them to have it now. So there's that's the other end of it. When I was a child, starting at midnight, you can have a present every hour, on the hour. But then you open everything all together. Whatever's left, you open up. But you can have a present every hour. So that
every hour after midnight.
Yes, because usually we were up watching, at that time we were like running movies and stuff, so we were running like Christmas movies, so we were already up all night, and it's, Christmas Eve, we're not sleeping at that point. I'm much older at that point in time too. So it was like, you can have, just get a present, unwrap it once every hour. You can have one every hour. And It was basically, it's like if I could last the entire day, I could have a present all the way until I run out. It's generally like, like 3, 4 in the morning, and probably crashing by that time, so it's only like maybe 2 or 3 presents.
Yeah, wow, I've never heard of such a thing. That's an interesting tradition.
It was not even a tradition. It was just kind of a thing where it was kind of at this point in time where it's like you're old enough, whatever,
doesn't matter. You're older. You're not a cute little kid anymore. Right. If you want to spoil your own Christmas present, you go right ahead.
Do whatever. And I guess the continuation is like when my mom gets stuff for them, sometimes she'll just take it right to the house and give it to them right away too. She won't wait until Christmas.
That's really interesting. I think we had the thing where we used to do the thing where you could open one on Christmas Eve and then the rest you had to wait. Mm-hmm. I felt like we did that for a little while, but then we talked we also had a situation where we we had Christmas in more than one place. So basically you get Christmas a couple of times. But I think that, it is interesting, the whole opening presents early. Like Dixie's terrible for that because she'll be like, oh, your birthday present arrived. You want it now?
You want it?
Maybe this is different for other people. I'd love to hear other people's feedback on this. But I feel like as a culture, and I'm talking for American culture, we don't have as much of a sense of occasion for things. I think it's very hard for us to say, okay, it's this day, we're going to do these things. Like, I feel like even like Black Friday, they can't even keep it on Black Friday. They're going to have Black Friday happen 3 weeks. All November is Black Friday.
Black Friday always made me mad because they always pushed it into Thanksgiving, and it's like, I was always raised that Thanksgiving was family time. You need to be staying home with your family. You shouldn't be going and making that corporation a couple extra dimes that day. They can wait one whole freaking day.
Yeah, and then of course they've extended it to Cyber Monday also. So
and small business is Saturday.
Right, so it is really interesting to where I feel like I said, at a certain point, if everything has this it doesn't really matter sort of elasticity to it, there will be a point where none of those things really even mean anything, right? We'll have Black Friday all year long, Christmas all year long, Halloween all year long, which I wouldn't mind Halloween all year long.
Right. Might as well just rename all the holidays to Halloween.
I think that's that we should come back to that idea. I think that's a great idea. Just like Halloween, people come up and say, how many, right? How many do I get? Not trick or treat, not no please and thank you, no niceties. I think Christmas, I know this is a tired concept of being commercialized, but I feel like more so than, it's not the commerciality that bothers me, but the I would say materialistic aspect of it, where people are like, what did you get for Christmas? Like that's the, that's the bottom line of it, and you have a lot of people who are like, oh, Johnny got 5 presents and I only got 4, or, that sort of stuff. I mean, do you have those kind of problems with your kids where they're looking at the dollar amounts, or they're looking at the number of presents that they get, or if they got their thing on their list?
They weren't. They generally weren't like that, but for a time there, we had to make sure that if we spent $100 on one kid, we had to spend $100 on the other kid. And that was the norm for a few years. And then after that, it became, they had to have the same amount of presents. So if one kid got 10 presents and the other kid got 7 presents, well, you had to be running out to the dollar store and making sure that you get those 3 more presents so that they have the equal amount of number. But I think at the end of the day, they didn't really care. They weren't counting it out and everything else. I think the idea is that everybody took a turn unwrapping presents. So if people were, if one of the kids was done early, well, then they were forced watching their sibling unwrap 3 more presents.
Yeah. I think it's very, I feel like there's certain people who are like, I didn't get everything on my list, or, I have an Amazon list. Why did somebody give me this thing that I didn't want, or I didn't already ask for? And I see a lot of ingratitude. I see a lot of people who've got the wrong idea. People always ask me what I want for Christmas, and I have a hard time even telling them, because honestly, if they want to give me something from the heart, it doesn't matter what it is,
Right.
And if they don't want to give me something, or they're not able to, because if they've already got a long list of people that they're obligated to give presents to, I don't want anyone to give me something out of an obligation. I think if somebody says, this is something that Mr. Lobo would really like, and picks it up for me, that's really nice. If they don't feel that way, it's not like I'm like, oh, this person didn't give me anything this year. They're dead to me forever. I'm just not that materialistic. I don't. When I was a kid, I felt like there was a certain amount of programming around that, where it's like, you make your list of all the things that you want. There's a lot of pressure involved in getting people gifts. And I think that, you think about how depressed people get on the holidays, and there's all this pressure for one day. And then, the potential of letting people down because you couldn't get them what they wanted. I just think that's, I don't know. I just think it's the wrong direction for a holiday that's supposed to be about peace, love, and understanding.
Right. I guess like my upbringing kind of taught me to not really be, that way about, sitting there counting the presents and stuff. Yeah. Because my birthday falls 5 days after Christmas. So it was always here, this counts as both Christmas and your birthday. Later on in life, I acquired a stepbrother. I just picked him up along the road. When that kind of happened, the presents started becoming, well, here's joint presents.
Yeah.
Oh, here's a present for you and your brother, but it stays here at this house. So it's like, it's not really, I guess there was like some sort of training, upbringing where it's like, well, there's no really, there's nothing really that's kind of mine. I mean, I guess like the presents and stuff that I got from my mom were mine, but there's kind of a lot of this stuff, a lot of, well, here's a lot of combined gifts, either your birthday or combined gifts because you and your brother, we're not going to buy 2 of everything, so you're just going to get one big thing for both of you. I just kind of feel like that maybe that's kind of how I feel when it comes to that kind of stuff. But I know when Amy was growing up, she wanted a Castle Grayskull for Christmas, and she couldn't have one because she's a girl.
That toy is for boys.
Castle Grayskull was a boy toy only.
That's right.
This dolly's for you because you're a girl.
So when we were raising our kids, she was fine with because I have 2 daughters, in case people don't know that. She was okay with them getting superheroes and Star Wars action figures and anything from the boy toys. Even now that they're even older, that they one kind of likes the pink aisle, and one kind of likes the
blue aisle.
Yes.
Pink aisle and the blue aisle.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. That, I don't know. I feel like I wish that we could, and maybe we need to invent another holiday, but create a holiday to which people are encouraged to look beyond themselves and what they can get. I think that people are focusing on the wrong side of the present aspect. I think it's supposed to be about the giving versus the getting. And speaking of getting, we never really got to getting mouths washed out with soap. I think that with myself, I remember one time in daycare, I might have said one of those dirty limericks. And then they literally took me in the bathroom and put soap in my mouth. And it was that horrible, like, pink soap that they have at school. You know, I probably am going to get mouth cancer.
Right. Yeah, I could probably tell you every name brand. I can name the brand just by the taste. Oh, that's Dial.
Oh, that's Zest.
That's hand sanitizer. Why would you do that?
Oh, all right. Lever 2000. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. That's right.
Yeah.
Or Irish Spring.
Irish Spring. Come on. Could have made it a little tougher. Come on. What do you think I am?
Okay. All right. That's the Yule log. Yep.
Mm-hmm. You have been listening to the Sleepless Nights podcast, or should we say, pODDcast.
PODDcast.
Emphasis on the odd. Our theme is by Mars Homeworld at Deadhouse Music. Our opening announcement is by Ophelia Necro. She does a radio show called Suicide Watch. And you could reach Mr. Lobo at cinemainsomnia.com or find me on YouTube, YouTube/Mr. Lobo, MISTERLOBO. Mr. Lobo on Facebook, Facebook/mr.lobo, or on Twitter, at Mr. Lobo, MISTERLOBO.
Or you can find myself, Paul Sanders, or better known as BESTOW TV, at bestow.tv, on YouTube /bestow TV, on Twitter at bestowprod, PROD, and on Facebook, Bestow TV.
If you want to place an advertisement with this podcast, and gosh, why wouldn't you? We could be talking about you right now. Contact us, Mr. Lobo at cinemainsomnia.com. That's MRLOBO @CINEMAINSOMNIA.com. Or support us on Patreon. Patreon supporters get to hear this podcast before anyone else and a lot of other great stuff, right, Paul?
Sure.
Doesn't get it better than that, right? So come join the fun at
patreon.com/sleeplessnightspodcast.
That's
patreon.com/sleeplessnightspodcast.
Please stay up with us next week for another Sleepless Nights podcast. Or should we say, pODDcast.
PODDcast.
The best thing about being an insomniac is never having to say goodnight.
Good night.